Hi there, welcome to Watcher of Realms. Today I wanted to show you my hero catalogue, more so the legendary heroes and ancient lords I've obtained throughout playing, giving an update and sharing with you how long I've played for as a free-to-play. I've not spent any money in the game, a total of 536 days signed in. There was a spell where I didn't play it for quite a while, but I have returned back and I've been playing non-stop since. So, if we head on over to the heroes, in whatever order it is in, we'll probably start from the bottom because the ones at the top are the ones that I've used more, okay? So just as an honourable mention, we've got Elysia here, which is great. Not been able to use them much yet because just when it comes down to gearing, but you know, if you haven't got Praetors, you know, Elysia can do the job. The other one, what we need to acknowledge, because it's more recent, is Vixera, the Esoterist new epic lord. So if you didn't get Nastia, Vixera, which is part of the Fragment event, you'll be able to get her. And if you got your correct resources, you can do it free to play too. Pretty good. The main standout thing with her is the acute poisoning. That really does help, and it's to do with the, there you go, the basic attack. Increases all poison and toxic surge damage taken by 40%. So you got other poisoners on the team, other heroes that can do the poison or toxic surge at 40% increase. So it does help others out. Besides that, recently I did obtain this guy called Crodor, who is a defender, the Northern faction. Not, you know, used them yet. I don't know if I will bother or not. They're not really highly rated either, but you know, when it comes to using resources, they're valuable. You want to use them on the best heroes, and someone like this, they're not worth it. But someone who's much worse, not even bothered with, is Mor, which was like a Fragment event legendary, and it's been supposedly a big disappointment. Look at those ratings, how low it is. But we don't need to focus too much on some of these guys because you probably know them already. We've got Magmus, who I've just not used, to be honest. There was no reason really to use them. As for the ratings, supposedly good in Void Rift for some reason. Yeah, but they just don't excite me. Just like how Cratch definitely doesn't. Really low rating, but you know, you hold on to these heroes and hope that maybe sometime they get upgraded, they get reworked. I believe it's the artifact though. Is it on this one? Yes, I did manage to get the Molten Cog, but I don't think it really does much. Makes a big difference anyway. Then we've got this one, Kineza, who, to be honest, I got them a couple of times, duplicates, which is okay, but just don't really need to use them because they don't really have much appliance. There's other heroes which are a lot better. Let's put them on the back burner. Managed to get Kai, which is actually pretty good, but it's conditional. You have to get him awakened to 5 for him to actually be usable and good for certain stages. You can tell the ratings are low on him, but that's probably because people haven't been able to awaken him to his maximum potential. So they're not going to know. Then we've got Orim. Not even bothered with. Disappointing. I've tried using him for the gear raid or gear stage 2, and that it just wasn't good. Selene, I believe, was a Fragment event as well, but not that great. A little bit better than more of them. You know, you can't complain though. They're giving them out kind of for free. If you manage your resources correctly, you might as well get them whilst you can. Get that collection. Might be somewhat helpful for the faction the faction modes. If you're running low on certain heroes, they might be able to help you there, and they'll get reworked possibly in the future. Azor, I've not even touched him. I've leveled them up, and that'll just be through completing tournaments and challenges along the way. Kalista, I believe, is a Fragment one as well, who is better, much better than the others. Decent rating as well. Just not really had any time or resources to put into them. You know, these are legendaries. You don't be using legendary skill crystals to upgrade their abilities when you got the likes of Ingrid, Valderon, Hatsut, and beyond, right? Part of the Watcher faction, which is good, and a fighter too, but just not got around to using it. I think they can push enemies back as well, so that'd be good for the gear dungeon. Managed to get Zaris, which is great, but I've not even leveled him up yet, which is crazy. Good for the Arena AoE DPS, and as well as for the PvP mode 2. I can't remember the name, that beta program, the PvP mode. You do well there. But he's conditional that for the first wave or two, he does really well. Big burst, summons those little creatures, but then after that, he weakens and doesn't summon as much, doesn't do as much damage. So he's only good short term, but he can win you early rounds, which is good enough. I'll have to try sometime, but because he doesn't have a wide purpose and use, a bit more niche, I don't want to be using all my resources on him. As for Calypso, I believe I got duplicates of her as well. Yes, and recently I did manage to get her Ancient exclusive, mythic artifact. Exclusive. For every 12 instances of damage dealt by Seal Stern, deals an extra 140% damage, which is actually pretty good, that. I'll have to kit them out properly. I've used them a little bit, and I'm more likely to use them because of the faction that they're in and where they can be used at, for sure. This was another newish one that I did obtain, Kriya, but they don't really stand out, to be honest. You know, the ultimate disappointing Stormcrow needs better, to be honest. Then we do have Carnelian, who is supposedly good, but I guess I just don't have the team. I don't quite have the team to be able to combine them all together. I don't have the Valderon. Who else do I not have? Basically a lot. I don't have Dagon. I don't have, we've got Uridin. We don't want to spoil that too much, of course, because we'll get into that shortly. We've got Abomination. You know, I didn't get him early on. I probably should have done. I would have likely used him more. I've just not used him since. I don't know if anyone else has. You got that little program thing where you can change the skin. Really nice, but you've got to invite people over, and that's awkward to do. It doesn't, trying to get people to sign up and stuff. But yeah, Abomination, decent survivability. I believe somewhat good for the artifact material raid up to a certain point. And then we've got Aelin, who I've tried to use them, and supposedly they're rated quite highly, but I guess I need better gear for them to really excel, and furthermore, I do actually need to promote them. So then we get the new talent enhancement. But once again, it's just resources trying to balance them. We do have Ezrein, who I've just really not used any for the faction part. But I've got a few duplicates of him as well, on top of her as well. And Carnelian. It's weird that I don't remember getting another version of her, but that's how it seems to be. Interesting. Abomination, yeah. And then this was another newish one that I got. Cerberus, who kind of conditional niche in a way with the arena-focused DPS, but there are better people, to be honest. I do like the visual look of him. Gladiator. Dripping. And then, the amount of times I've got regulars, crazy. Some people get King Hearts multiple times. I get regulars, very regular by now. Fully Awakened, which is probably my only legendary that's fully awakened of all people. He's okay. To be honest, I do prefer the epic. Where is he at? There we go. I do prefer Baron still a lot better, in my opinion. But, regular still has his place and part of the Watchers faction. That's great. You need a ground unit besides mages. This was another new one I got. Not at the time when it was released, but a bit later. Lynx, just not really used them. At first, the kit sounded kind of good. A lot of control and slowness, but it's just been a bit underwhelming when I've used them. Maybe if I've got better gear on them, they might perform a bit better. But, with the other heroes that I've got since, I just don't really need to rely on Lynx. As for Arrogance, supposedly regarded as a top 5, top 10 fighter in the game, highly rated, 555 all over the place, which is great, but I've just hardly used him. Why? Because I've just got other heroes that can do what he does, if not better, or I've just got other heroes that are better geared, and I've not been lucky enough to get good enough gear since to be able to apply to Arrogance. Though, as for Artifact, I do have the Eye of Mockery, which is decent. But ultimately, I think to get the best out of Arrogance, does he have a bond? Yes, he does have a bond. Increases attack by 15% during the effect of Hellfire, which is okay. Is it more so the Awakening? Berserker Stance? No, not that one. Deals 15% extra damage, kind of, yeah. When entering the Berserker Stance, maximum attack speed talent, the first 5 attacks deal 100% extra damage. So I just think you might need to be awakened to get the best out of him, because whilst he was highly rated, I've seen some people saying that he's okay, but he could be better, more ideal if you've got the things unlocked, and I've not got that. But, you know, we've been able to awaken to on Sadie, and with the previous event what we had, was able to get the Whispering Grace artifact. Actually, a nice surprise when using Sadie, does really well, and the ultimate is really helpful during the ultimate. Within range, only take 40% of incoming damage. When the effect ends, they will lose HP equal to evenly shared remaining damage over 10 seconds. Yeah. But it does help, and it does work really well, especially in the Titanic Ruins. Now, is she rated highly there? No, she isn't. So that is a massive shock. 4.7 in Titanic Ruins should be a lot higher, at least a 4.9. As for Immortal Codex, well, I've never really used Sadie in Immortal Codex. I'm kind of surprised why she's so high there. Then, massive pull here. We've got Broker. And whilst it is a defender, he isn't all about damage, but more so control and blocking the enemy. A must-have legendary hero, especially for like the Gear Dungeon. Is it 1 or 2? Gear Dungeon 2 and 1. Okay, so it applies both ways. Really good there. Of course, Guide War 2. You definitely want to be able to get this guy, right? So if we just go to the skill section, you know, gains a freeze, survivability, grants physical damage reduction and magic damage reduction to adjacent allies when possessing freeze, grants physical damage reduction and magic instead towards the enemy, or if not that, towards allies. So either way, it helps with survivability. Fatal damage, freeze. There's a lot of control, really nice. Now, not used Shamir much. I did use him recently though for the faction trials when I had to deploy 3 mages, and he actually did really well, which is quite funny. That do have the Seabed Crown. Each basic attack launched has a 25% chance to release 1 extra energy ball, but he does need a rework. Doesn't do much damage at all. Then we got Nyx, who I just don't bother using because they cost too much to deploy when they're a marksman. And they're from the, was it Starpiercer? Is that what it's called? Starpiercer faction. Why use Nyx when you can use Silas, who's a 12 cost unit? Or even Talon, who is she 12 or is she 16 cost? Oh, 16. But still cheaper than Nyx. But then you've got Yori as well, who's 12. You've got Hatsuit, who's 12 cost and can do like AoE. So really, Nyx is a bit overrated in a way. But recently, due to certain events, that skin that came out, as you can see on screen, actually really good. Worthwhile getting just for that. Maybe it'll get upgraded in the future. But yeah, nice visual. Talon was a new one that I obtained. Must have, maybe not, but unique person. At this moment in time, I believe the only legendary, the only character in the game to be able to be placed as a tile unit or a ground unit. Berserker Stance turns into like a bear or some kind of animal. Remains in human form when as a marksman on a tile. Deals some decent damage. Not the best, but unique. As for rating wise, yeah, I'd say it's kind of a fair rating that. What's next? I guess. Lucia looks great, but very limited where you can use him, to be honest. Definitely a gear raid 1 guy. And with the range that he has, one of the better ones with the ultimate, which kind of cancels out to do the anti-healing, meaning enemy boss can't heal the little minions and stuff. So quite important. Allura, not really bothered with them either. Don't think I will, to be honest, to do crit rate and whatnot. Tallulah is a recent one what I've got. Nice visuals, butterfly with the wings. So visually, really good. Skill-wise, butterfly waltz, extra attack speed, and I believe it does cleanse as well. Does a lot, but how good are they really? Very underwhelming in the ratings. That might be something to do with the healing multiplier or so. Basic attack, single target. I think it's based off attack. They've not really healed much for me. Maybe it depends how you build them. They can seem to do a lot, but probably not good enough as a soul healer. So, got to take that in mind. Not really used Demi much whatsoever. I think they might have been rated a lot lower since. Gear Raid 1, only 4.9. Previously, it was at a 5, so she's actually gone downwards. Got worse. So that's really interesting. Will we get a rework of Demi at some point? Because I think she really needs it. As for Epsan, I don't bother with him anymore. He was good at the time. Early game. Got him at the right time. I just don't need him now. So second to last Ancient Lord that I got was Toreador, and that was more so recently. I think it was Nestia who I was going for, but I got Toreador, which was the A1. People really highly rate this guy. I personally don't. I use him a lot, which is kind of ironic, but I don't get excited when using him. I know he's a defender. He is a Lord. Obviously, he does help the other units that you got alongside, but who else is the present? Only Rygar. I guess he's a bit better in some ways. But yeah, I guess it depends how you build him out. If you do it as like a hybrid to do some damage, because in his kit, he can do some kind of damage. I believe stunning as well. Defense reduction, which is 20%. Not too bad. We got Dao-Chan, which I do need to awaken to get the best out of them, to get the basic attack range increased. So more units about are inspired to do a bit more damage. The one thing that stands out with them is they can switch between healing and they can switch between the inspiration. I not fully upgraded them, but that little skill cost, only bring it down to 100. It's not a big deal there. I don't really need to do that because I've got other areas where I can upgrade units and whatnot, skills. But yeah, they're pretty good. For me, it's like they're in the background because they're not doing damage. They're assisting with the team, of course, and more so you're going to be using them in the inspiration phase and not so much the healing aspect. But every now and then you can switch it in between those, and it does carry over, I believe, a certain percentage, half the effect of the previous stance, which is good. Half of the healing or half of the inspiration when you switch between the two. So you're not completely neglecting it. We do have the Phoenix Feather Fan. I think in some ways we're a little bit overrated because you got Beelzebub that can do higher inspiration by 50%. So there is that. But Dao-Chan just has more usage, more range where you can use her in different stages and boss content on top. With the factions she's a part of is perfect. So got to at least acknowledge that. We did get another Magna not long ago, which does immediately restore 5 cost. So you've still got to wait some time to be able to deploy them, especially such as like in an arena AoE. But as soon as you deploy them, 5 cost returned back, which can help getting other units quicker. Take that in mind, and with the new PvP content, there's appliance. They're okay. I mean, they're fairly rated high. Doesn't always mean everything. Do you have the penetration and damage increase? You've got to take that in mind. And that's just to do with the hero adjacent allies and allies within attack range gain it. Only 10%. 15%. 15 and 10. Okay. Besides that, we've got Eldar, who needs rework. Can still do some decent damage. And I don't have them like fully maxed either. Skill-wise, no, not really. I was lucky enough to get him maxed cost upgraded for the Thunder Incarnation, but besides that, still more to be done. Leia, not really used them whatsoever, but I probably should be. Good for the boss content and increasing attack. Damage increase more so. There, did it say 10%? But once again, I think, first of all, I need to upgrade them properly for the skills. But because I keep getting new units and new units keep coming out, kind of like this guy here, I'm spreading the resources. So we got Vaughn, recent, new, latest legendary, lucky enough to pull him with the limited material that I had. How good is he? Can't comment too much because I haven't got him upgraded properly. But, you know, if you're doing a poison team comp and you've got the likes of Numenera, Vixera, who I mentioned earlier, it can work out with the... What I will say is Vaughn very good with stacking the poison quick, for sure. And another thing that really stands out is he can dispel a buff. So if you're in Titanic Ruins, this guy can get the job done there. Because there's only so many limited... And when I say limited, I don't mean limited summons, but limited heroes that can take away buffs of enemies. Besides that, Nocturne, who I got a few times previously, not used them since. They were a good early game, don't need them now. Managed to get the exclusive though just recent. The trigger chance of Dark Sacrifice increases by an extra 10%. When it's triggered, the hero restores 35 rage. I guess that's okay. As for Helga, Fragment, event one where you could get free to play. They're not really for damage, but they're very good for stunning or knocking into the air of the enemy. Rapid strikes. Yeah, attack speed increases. The stun aspect every 8 of damage to the same target inflicts stun. Really good for stopping, delaying the chainsaw wind-up ability in Titanic Ruins. I don't think they're going to be... Bloody hell, look at that. I am surprised, such as with Gear Dungeon 1 and 2, why they're rated 5 stars there. I can understand Immortal Codex for the shield aspect and then Titanic Ruins for the chainsaw counter, but I'm surprised by the Gear Dungeon aspect. I don't know why. If it does that much damage, I'll have to look into that. Elowin did manage to finally get a second copy, because the first one what I got was actually not from summoning, but from that like legendary book where you could choose from a certain amount of legendaries at the time, and I didn't have Elowin, needed them. Being used non-stop since, that good. So I do understand why Elowin is so popular. I have started using Salazar now for Titanic Ruins, more so the Titanic Ruins normal stage, the first one. And he does a lot of damage. Really impressed. Do have the bond skill unlocked due to having Kinessa. Does it have to be on the same team when used? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I could awaken them as well, to be honest, enhancing. Increase the chance of inflicting bleed, but wait, 10% basic. You can summon Salazar as well through that fusion. I've just not really got round to it, but I probably should. Might as well. He wasn't available for the fusion previously, but he was added in or replaced for somebody else. So if you completed, was it Abomination? You get Salazar now. Can't remember which way around it was. Got the Bloodblade, Mythic Artifact. Second copy now. That's pretty good. 22% more damage to targets inflicted with bleed. Every time Ultimate deals damage to targets inflicted with bleed, the hero restores 1.5% rage. Now, a new one that I did get with Eye of Sin on top. Ymeret, which was just after when he was up for summoning on, was it a times 15 or a times 20? I didn't get him. Then the next week or the week after that, when the next Ancient Summoning came about, managed to pull him, which was a shock and surprise. I believe he's a Lord, so I guess he reset my pity there, but shortly after, that's when I pulled the Toreador when it came to the Nastia. Yeah, but I'd say Ymeret is really good for the control aspect and the damage, specifically when it comes to the ultimate. I do have Anora as well, to do with the Winter's Bite, Dragon Egg and whatnot. Really good when using the ultimate, but when he's not using the ultimate, I don't know. I guess it depends which enemies you're coming up against, of course. He's doing what, physical attack, but when in ultimate stance, he's doing magic damage. So, and the magic aspects of damage quite used quite often, to be honest, in the game, later stages. But he is a ground unit. That's what we've got to acknowledge, which is a positive in ways, and being able to increase team members' damage by 4%. Besides that, not used much of Hamet, but he is pretty good. Did build him out a little bit since 14,000 attack, 381% crit damage. Let's have a quick look as for Ymared. 15,000 attack, probably a bit too low. Low crit rate as well, 340% crit damage. So I think in fairness, I probably do need to, of course, I need to increase the crit rate when I can. I'll get round to that. Salazar, 18,000 attack, 466 attack speed, 368% crit damage. You could trade it off and say, can we get the attack up to about 23,000, reduce the attack speed down to about 320, but it all comes down to what gear you've got. And I've got him in the Soulbound Arcana. And to be honest, no wonder why he's done pretty well, because he's geared out good. He might not be the best legendary now, he's been power crept by others, but because of the gear, he can hold up. Possibly I could transfer this specific gear over to another fighter, maybe Ymared or somebody else, and get more out of it, but just see how we get. Got Volker, and to be honest, I do have a piece of gear which could be used for really anyone, but I've just used it on Volker for now. I'm switching and changing. 13,000 attack, very low, to be honest. 378 speed, all right. 400% crit damage, very good. But it's this piece of gear here. It's not a quad roll, but you got crit rate, you got attack speed, crit damage, all good. In fairness, if there was attack percentage, I think you can get that. If there was attack percentage instead of HP, then it would be godlike. On top of, if it was in the red or yellow section, because, 2 lots of legendary yellow bars on an item like this, when it's hard to get that nowadays, really does speak volumes. As for the exclusive for Volker specifically, crit rate 15%, that's great. Makes it easier to build, and extends the effect duration of Blood Source and its vulnerability by 5 seconds. As said, you probably could use that piece of gear on a Hex or a Silas, but the only thing that lets it down is there's no attack percentage, which is a shame. But besides that, Volker, very good, considering how you can get a free-to-play. Artifact-wise, I don't have any exclusives not available. You do the Tide, which I obviously did do, Awaken to 5, all good there. Ally redeployment time, A1, one of the most important parts, by 25%, reducing it, great, really good Volker, considering how you can get her. Yori, who is coming up in the next summoning very shortly. I wouldn't bother with them myself because the A1 isn't that important. The base form is good enough and the ultimate is great. Considering that, once a target's within range and you kill them, then basically anyone nearby, and that can be further out the range, they can be killed too. So good for using early on in the stages of arena, anti-air, works really well there if you deploy them first. New hero that I've got, who was really hard to get, Numera, because of the summon rates. Pretty good, considering. I don't have them built out the best. 17,000, nearly 18,000 attack, not too bad. 379 speed, pretty good. 290% crit damage, very low. Crit rate, not full. But I'm just working with the material, the stuff that I've got. Nowhere near Awakened, of course. But if you can have Numera, you want to have the other poisoners like Vaughn, etc. to be able to build the poison up, stack it, and then do the Toxic Surge, which kind of explodes it. Okay? 500% damage, spike dealing. Yeah, I need to get the crit damage up a lot more with Numera, but I'm limited with gear. Same as Silas, I've been moving him about. He's very, very good still, but he's conditional. So yeah, I must have, to be honest, that must be an unpolished. I think that might be an unpolished. Is that unpolished, or did I just get a duplicate of Silas at one point? I'll have to check that. I don't know if I can check it or not. Because, I mean, it's a good one. Increased attack speed. Do I have any exclusives? Nope, but the Spirit Siphon is good enough. The reason why he's not great is because I don't have Vienna. You don't have to have Vienna in your starting lineup when you're doing whatever content, but, you know, with the soul sniping, just increases extra damage or penetration, like doubles it or so. So, because I don't have that, he's doing significantly less damage. It's kind of like with Hex, you need his exclusive artifact to do even more damage, and I just don't have that. We got the limited Honora, who I did save up for. I thought, why not? I didn't think it was a must-have, but then, you know, with getting Ymaret afterwards, I was very lucky there with getting the 2. You see the passive there as well. The following business effect summons Ice Labour instead of Labour. Pretty good. Artifact-wise, yes, we do have the Scepter of Impetus, but I think it was one of the events where you could get it, or was it Valderon event? Might have been the Valderon event, one or the other, and I just couldn't get the exclusive item because the boss content was too difficult. But besides that, really good. Attack, very low, to be honest. Crit damage, 434%, very good. I really do need to increase that attack at least by 15 to 16,000 or so. But once again, it's just limited items. Twyla really stood out to me. Not great for survivability, but good enough for the Titanic Ruins when I use them in my alternative team. 21,000 attack, that's good enough. 300 speed, reasonable. 336% crit damage. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And they're not geared out as in a proper set either on the right-hand side, so the only way is up for them. Shattered Hilt, definitely a good artifact to be on the lookout for. Single target damage, that's what you focus on. And units that can attack up to so many enemies, as long as it doesn't say AoE, the Shattered Hilt will apply to that team. Another surprise one, Lucia's. Ideally, if you awaken them to 5, they'd be really good, but short term, decent enough. I think Titanic Ruins, that can be used there as well. They can dispel, I believe, I think they can dispel a debuff here and there, I believe, through the ultimate. But, you know, if you don't use their ultimate and they go into the stacks, Demonic Embrace increases damage 280% and reduces attack interval by 30. That's really powerful. You really do pick up on it and see it. He's not ultimate end game, but kind of like a fun unit to have in a way. And I've got the Blightcrawler's Claw on it for now. And that seems to work. Razak managed to get the Tidebreaker. Upon casting ultimate, increases damage taken by 40% and damage dealt by 25%. That doesn't sound good whatsoever. You're making yourself more of a glass cannon, but you're not exactly dealing additional or double that. You're dealing less damage, but you're taking more damage. I mean, to be honest, his ultimate does a lot of damage anyway, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it. I don't really like him, to be honest. I know he's kind of rated, and maybe for the Immortal Codex possibly, but I just don't really like Razak. I thought it was good at first when I got him, but he's just underwhelming. Eunomia, a lot of people say, well, not a lot, but a range of people say not the best, but to be honest, considering the faction, pairing up with Ingrid, etc., and yeah, the Supreme Arbiters as well, with Praetors, it's good enough in my head. The fact that you can dispel debuffs, survivability, really good for the Void Rift area for sure, and also good for Titanic Ruins. So, you know, if you don't have some others, Eunomia can do that. Of course, it's, you know, the ultimate as well. This is the actual healer that I did max out as well. So it shows that I did value them more. And, you know, as for the others, I think I got Eunomia first, one of the more standout healers. That's why I prioritised them. Increases the attack speed by 100, which is pretty good. After the second activation, it becomes permanent, which is great. Makes a big difference. We did manage to get in it as well through completion of all those stages, passages. Visually, one of the best looking legendaries in my opinion, because of the gold aspect, legendary, gold, you symbolize it with. The theme as well, Egyptian, like god, dog. Underwhelming, I guess, in terms of the skills, abilities. The only thing that is kind of good, I would say, is that ancient core. And through completing, I can't remember, was it faction trial? Was it tied? It was some challenge or achievement, maybe dealing 40 to 80,000. I think it might have been 80,000 damage in the Titanic Ruins Stage 2 aspect, the harder mode. And if you deal 80,000, if not more, you get a soul stone specifically for Init, and that means it increases the ancient core up to one more ally. I don't know how you obtain the others, though. Does anyone know? It's not that important, not that game-changing, but does anyone know how you get them? I think he does need a rework. You look at his abilities, he's not that good, to be honest. I've used him enough because of, the factions he's in to fill it out for the Supreme Arbiters, but he's not the be-all and end-all. As for Ardea, early on, I saw them, they were regarded as really good, used them, didn't think too much about it, and ever since, I've changed my mind. Really good for arena, really good for just AoE damage all over the place. Artifact-wise, I probably need to use a different one, but I'm using that for now, because due to the range that they've got amazing range. You might as well use Realm Tear, even if it's temporary. Probably best to Awaken, of course, for that defense reduction by 10%. But to be honest, if you had other units present that can reduce defense on the enemy, it should be okay. But it depends what faction they're in as well. Tydor doesn't match up with Ardea, so it wouldn't work there. But besides that, as they are base-wise, really good. And I've actually put effort into building them with the correct gear. I would say 27,000 attack. 27,000 attack. 466 attack speed. Unfortunately, though, 295% crit damage. I think if you was to reduce the attack speed down to 300, increase crit damage up to at least 330 plus, that'd be great. But once again, it's just the gear that I've got. Kind of limitates me. Maybe I can move it around with some other heroes, but I don't want to disrupt, the gameplay and how I can get stages and stuff completed elsewhere. I just need to get lucky enough to summon. Valkyra was good before Ardea, in my opinion, because you got to think of Ardea, her cost can reduce down to about 12 or just a bit above 12 in cost. Valkyra, good at the time, awakened her a few times as well. Her ultimate, so-so, not great. A little bit underwhelming now. Definitely not for boss content then. More for ground units and trying to, I guess, for a bit of survivability of somebody placed in front because you can revive them. You don't really have many or really any other revivers in this game. So that's kind of interesting. Beelzebub. For the ally buff, they've been buffed ever since with the ability to heal other faction members, I believe. The inspiration as well, which is 50%, the highest one in the game. And that, almost like a vortex where they drag everybody into one space, dealing AoE damage, which actually does pretty good. Damage reduction too, so they're good for the new Immortal Codex stage, which was added in recent time, must have. So, faction-wise, limited, they're only part of one faction. Got the artifact a couple of times now, lucky enough. Carrion's Call, increases attack by 26%. Beelzebub guarantees crit, hit on enemies damaged by putrid vibes within 5 seconds and deals 50% increased damage. Main one, Wukong. His Golden Cudgel artifact is coming out again soon as part of challenge and events you can obtain, so I'll definitely be doing that, of course. He is also summonable as well. I think 200 summons limited. So if you haven't already got him, be sure to get him. For me, I would want him, but I just don't have enough resources, but I'm going to still try, cross my fingers. I need him Awakened 5. No questions. Awakened 3, amazing. But Awakened 5, even better. Fingers crossed I can get him. Best unit in the game, for sure. Best unit. Either the top or second to top unit on my account. Septram, I've not used them since whatsoever. Good at the time. And in between I got the Oblivion Pendant, which is good, but I don't know if I will use him again. Zilla2, another one that's kind of fade away, power crept. Then again, with the exception of, not being complete there, when I had them complete as for a gear set, just not enough. Did awaken them as well. Fully maxed out there for skills, just not enough. Though, still to this day, Valeria, who was recent on one of the summon banners, very good. Although, yeah, I have awakened them as well, surprisingly, which is great. Awaken 3 would be even better for that 20%. Ignore defense, would really want that. But besides that, they've been great in the Nightmare, what are they called? Void Rift, the Nightmare Void Rift. Really good for nuking the enemy, getting them down quick on health and then exploding at them with that burst. I think in Arena at some stage in the past would do like 1 million damage or so. Of course, it depends what the BP rating and the health of the enemy and whatnot, but still, really good nuker when you need them. Survivability, pain in the backside, but it's just part of the class that they're in. Still good. Kagiri, amazing, but I've never been able to have resources to awaken him, and I need to get him to the 3rd awakening, so he's really good. Still does okay now, but he could be, I know it's one of those things, he could be so much better if I had him awakened, but unfortunately, I can't at this moment. Do have the Mythic Artifact and got a 2nd copy since, which is all good there. Praetors, unusual maybe for Artifact, what I've got him as, but it's where it is. Another one who really need to awaken, specifically A1 and I believe A3, the Light of Judgment. A5, which be amazing. But you're going to be, awakening an A5 Lord, probably not anytime soon because it's hard to get in the first place and the Polished Soul Stones are really hard to get. Really good. If I kitted him out, if I had the correct gear, it'd be even better. Definitely Soulbound Arcana, you want him in to get the most out of it. 50 and 50% increase, 100% increase with his certain talents, with the exception of one talent or so. What is he? 18,000 attack, great for a mage actually. Great speed and great crit damage. So really, I've actually got him built out alright, to be honest. I'm actually quite impressed by that. Granted, if he was awakened, that's where it needs work. Hatsu managed to get the artifact a couple of times, which is great. That's all fine there. Managed to awaken her as well, surprisingly, even though she was supposedly hard to get previously. Got her a few times since. Not on the main banners, though. Well, on one banner, yes. But ever since, just got him here and there. Attack-wise, 15,000 attack as a marksman. Very nice. 549 attack speed. 245% crit damage. That is where it lets me down. I probably need to sacrifice the speed, increase the crit damage, to be honest. It would maximise her ultimate. Ingrid, my main unit in the game. Some of the stats may not be the best, but top unit. Awakened 3. Godlike. As for that one, Solar Flare, 25% resistance is pretty good, that, but yeah, this is where it's all at. Awakened 3. Game changing. I've got to say, it's game changing. And Materia Twilight, amazing. Stat wise, 21,000 attack. I'm quite happy with that. 329 attack speed, alright. 380% crit damage. If I had more units where you sacrifice the speed but you increase the crit damage, that's great. Nice balance there. High BP Uridin. Got them. Not used them much, but they can have appliance in different ways. They actually helped me in Tide towards the end, so there was like a little boost there, which was great. 21,000 attack, pretty good. 300 speed, 311% crit damage. Still needs work. And last but not least, long time one now, Hex. A3, which is good enough. Really need his exclusive artifact to transform him to the next level and layer. Kit-wise, Soulbound Arcana, pretty good. 16,000 attack, decent considering. Nearly 400 attack speed, great. 355% crit damage. That is the ideal balance which I would want on all the other units like Praetors, maybe Ardea, and so on, but it's just trying to get the gear. So that's it for my legendaries. Apologies about the long video, I just wanted to give you an update as in regard to everyone what I've got, and the epics as well, which I don't use as much. So thanks for watching. Let me know your top units, your top 5, top 10 heroes, what you've got, and let me know which units you also want to summon. you desire for. My name's Ralph Light Gaming. Thanks for watching.